Hello and welcome to the second part of my Sailor Moon analysis video. If you saw my first video, you'll know I really respect Sailor Moon for its attempts to make realistic and likable female and homosexual characters, unlike most 90s shows, which treat female characters like cardboard cutouts and just ignore homosexuals completely. Last video we talked about feminism in Sailor Moon, and this video will deal with my second point, homosexuality. Now, this is the point where the Sailor Moon version you watched is going to change dramatically. You can ask almost anyone who's seen the original Japanese version of Sailor Moon, and they will most likely hate the English dub. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many reasons to hate the dub. The voice acting is terrible, the characterization is way off, they change or cut out huge portions of the plot, and the bad 90s slang is so terrible I wonder how our language ever survived. However, the first thing most fans will complain about right away is how the Americans massacred the characters in order to make them less gay. Now, for all of you who have never seen the original, I'll give you a quick crash course. In the original Sailor Moon anime, there are several LGBTQA characters. In fact, there's at least one character for every one of these categories if you count most of the straight characters as allies, which they would be, since none of them seem to give a damn that their friends are gay. However, the American version either cuts these couples out completely or straightifies them. Now let me make this clear. This applies to the anime only. There's only one canon gay couple in the manga, and their relationship is kept completely the same even in older versions of the manga. So, this concerns the anime canon only. Diving straight on in with Season 1. The last two members of the quirky mini-boss crew are two gay men, Zozite and Kunzite. These two are the only gay characters to actually verbally declare their love in the anime. And despite the fact they're villains, it's really hard not to admire their relationship and want them to make it through. These characters are good characters, even if they might be bad guys. They're well written and well developed, and you really want this relationship to work. Like I said, it doesn't. The English dub keeps the relationship pretty much the same, except for the fact that Zozite is a woman, and much more annoying. In fairness, Zozite does have a rather generic gender-neutral hairstyle and facial features, but it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that he doesn't have any tits. Maybe Beryl stole them, I don't know. I really don't see why there can't be a gay couple in children's media, but I would accept this change if it didn't happen in the exact same season that another relationship between a 14-year-old girl and a man that's well into his 30s happened. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This relationship is kept completely the same in the dub, and that is a man who's at least in his 30s. Now this is okay in the Japanese version because Japan's age of consent is 13. However, the American age of consent is between 16 and 18, and yet this is appropriate for children when gays aren't. Sorry, but your argument is invalid. Now, when I posted this on Tumblr, I got a reply from NanaBaby, who pointed out that Naru and Nephrite's relationship isn't harmful in the American version because it's portrayed as an abusive relationship, and if anything, it teaches kids not to go for older guys. Whereas if they would have kept the villains homosexual, it would have cast a negative view on gays. I don't think the dubbers particularly had this in mind, but NanaBaby did make a good point. So I'll let Season 1 slide. However, the second gay couple is much harder to let slide. Yes, the second and much more famous of the gay relationships, as well as the only canon gay relationship in the manga, is between two characters introduced in Season 3, otherwise known as Series S, Haruka Tenno and Michiru Kao, aka Sailors Uranus and Neptune. Their relationship is far more advanced, thus for a lot more fun to watch. They never actually say they're dating in the anime, and they both playfully flirt with others. Haruka flirting with other women, and Michiru, who's implied to be bisexual, flirting with men. But they are shown to be an exclusive couple. Often they could be seen comforting each other when one of them's unsure, and Michiru is often found chastising Haruka for flirting. They are almost never seen apart, and when they are, it's normally under dire circumstances. They're also the queen of innuendos. They can barely go a second without flirting or making bedroom jokes. Despite this, their relationship is still very subtle. They're never seen kissing or making loud declarations of love like the other characters do, which in my opinion makes them even more likable and even better characters to promote gay rights. Like the feminist approach I talked about in my first video, they just happen to be gay. Every move they make isn't determined by their sexuality. It's not a big deal. Neither of them fall into the stereotypical gay character tropes in media. Okay, in fairness, Haruka is the most masculine of all the senshi. She wears mainly men's clothes, likes to race bikes and cars, and has their daughter refer to her as Papa instead of Mama. She doesn't do these things because she's gay. She does them because that's what she likes to do, and her sexuality doesn't have anything to do with it. Most fans list these two as their favorite couple, and it's not hard to see why. Their love and devotion for each other is evident almost every time they come on. Since they're amongst the oldest senshis, their civilian relationship gets much more advanced than other relationships between characters. At one point they even move in together and adopt a daughter. But it's when they're in their sailor forms where their devotion really hits its peak, since they're shown as being more than willing to die for each other. For example, in Season S, Neptune gets critically injured, but she's still willing to give up her heart to try to save Uranus. Uranus then says it's unfair for you to go off on your own world, Michiru, before committing suicide herself. Both girls get revived in the next episode, but they don't know that at the time. They think they're really gonna die, and they're more than ready to make that sacrifice for the one they love. Later in the Sailor Stars season, Uranus says that she would sell her soul to the devil in an instant for Neptune, and before they get killed, Neptune says that hell wouldn't be so bad as long as they were together, and they die holding hands. Honestly, I think this is one of the most touching scenes in any anime I've ever seen, and I really don't know anyone who has not teared up in this scene because it's just so beautifully done. Because Haruka and Michiru are considered the best couple by so many people, there's a lot more backlash about them being changed in the dub than there is about Zozite and Kunzite. Obviously, they couldn't change the gender of these girls because they're both obviously girls, so the English dub just kind of pretends their relationship doesn't happen. Instead, they explain their closeness by changing them to cousins. However, they don't change any of the animation, so some episodes get really fucking weird. As if making bedroom eyes at each other all the time isn't enough, they enter a fucking love contest at one point. Yeah, not kidding. The dub keeps in the episode where they enter a love contest and just plays it off as them joking around. So I guess the dub doesn't necessarily make these two less gay. They just kind of make them more incestuous. There are also a lot of couples that aren't canon but are heavily implied. For example, in the movie Sailor Moon or A Promise of the Rose, the main villain is named Fiore, and he's a childhood friend of Mamoru. It's never fully explained whether their relationship was that of two brothers or if Fiore had a big flamin' gay crush on Mamoru, but judging on his actions, I'd say the latter. Unlike other villains that want to take over the world or obtain power or fulfill revenge, Fiore just wants Mamoru. He even tries to kill Sailor Moon to get him, and when that backfires and Tuxedo Mask gets hurt instead, Fiore kidnaps him and puts him in a little Munchausen's rape room. Probably wouldn't have let him out either if Sailor Moon hadn't come and opened a can of whoop-ass on his media. There's also two members of the Sailor Stars quirky mini-boss team that are questioning? I don't know. They're theorized to be lesbians because they draw so many parallels to Kunzite and Zozite, but I'm not sure. While I think Sailor Lead Crow does have a crush on Aluminum Siren, she's unsure of it, and their relationship never gets too developed because they both die before it can. I'm not sure if their relationship is romantic or just good friends, but it's a fun one to theorize about. Also, since Haruka is by far the most protective of Asagi, most fans say there's an unrequited love interest there as well. However, while she does flirt with Asagi and often teases her, calling her pet names and even kissing her at one point in the manga, I think their relationship is much more platonic. And if Haruka does love Asagi, it's the way an older sister would love and watch out for her younger sister. And in fairness, Asagi's the fucking princess. It's kind of Haruka's job to look out for her. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this topic for now. So I hope even if you hate this show, and I know a lot of people do, you can at least appreciate the strides it makes to bring female and gay characters to the forefront of viewers' minds without making the character defined by their sex or sexuality. That's something that Americans still can't do 20 years later in adult media. I hope American media can learn something, and here's hoping they don't mess up their reboot. In the name of the moon, peace out, bro.